over here to more YouTube fun. This morning, I'm going to ramble on a little bit about freedom and democracy and human rights and all kinds of good stuff like that. Very much uppermost in the news thanks to Wisconsin and Egypt. And it's a more positive topic than mulling over collapses and foreclosures or some rabid teabagger on Fox News, so we'll go with it. First, everyone is for freedom and democracy and human rights. If you don't believe them, just ask them. Yet you have to consider the source, coming from Nelson Mandela, for instance, someone who's paid his dues. It sounds a lot more morally credible than dropping from the lips of the likes of Hillary Clinton in the U.S. State Department. Coming from her, it's a childish chant like freedom and democracy and human rights, lions and tigers and bears and such. It just doesn't carry the same gravitas. Okay. As the ex-slave Frederick Douglass put it, everyone believes in freedom for himself. It's freedom and human rights and democracy for the other person that's always the problem. Like our governor of Wisconsin, Mr. Walker, really believes that he's standing up for freedom as he squelches the rights of his fellow citizens to defend themselves and the rights their forebears fought for, and rights they intrinsically deserve for their own sake, rights that are not his to either withhold or to grant. Okay. Notice also the discrepancy in American and Western attitudes towards the revolutions in Egypt and Libya. It's true that Gaddafi doesn't give a flying fuck, okay, and is willing to wallow in blood like a pig in fresh poop. I'll give Governor Walker credit for not going that far to date. But a Western client like Mubarak wasn't willing to do that either. But note that during the Egyptian uprising, all was alarm, worry, indecision in Washington, the UN, and Europe as to will it go too far? Will it hurt us? In Libya, however, with an old enemy like Muammar, there's no doubt it's a good thing, even if it does end in blood. That's because freedom, democracy, and human rights are just too serious, too valuable for everyday use around the house, like a suit of Sunday clothes. At home, at least here in the U.S., it's the Bush family or the dailies of Chicago, like around the house is T-shirts and sweatpants with food and sex stains. None of that crap about Rousseau and Jefferson and Paine any more than Stalin and Pol Pot worried about Marx. Democracy, freedom, human rights, they're Sunday go-to-meeting values to be preached to someone else, usually someone we don't like, as a vehicle for self-righteousness, for attacking an enemy. Never principles to apply to oneself, family, or friends. And we see this historically in the way the U.S. has responded to dictators around the world, supporting Pinochet in Chile and the Shah of Iran because they allowed privileged U.S.ians to make buku bucks and kept the natives in line, while demonizing their successors because they got in the way of the American dollar empire. Nor does harming American citizens honestly enter into this either. Just recall the film Missing, about the murder cover-up of an American in Chile, or the rape and murder of 4 U.S. church workers by a U.S.-subsidized death squad in El Salvador. They just deserved it somehow for getting in the way of larger American interests, which you can be sure are not freedom and democracy and human rights, not in any human, meaningful definition of those terms. Okay, they're just collateral damage, like the mass murder of Cambodians by American bombers at 30,000 feet, ordered by Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon, but genocidal evil when ordered by Pol Pot using low-tech earthbound methods. Okay. To see the U.S. pose as a champion of human rights, freedom and democracy in modern Iran or Cuba is laughably disgusting hypocrisy, to be sure. But more than that, it's a moralizing cover-up for U.S. complicity in the criminal regimes that gave rise to anti-American revolutions. It's far easier to attack Castro or the Ayatollah than admit that without your constructive engagement, to use Reagan's pet phrase, with Fulgencio Batista in Havana or the Shah of Iran, as they shoved elected cattle prods up the anuses of democracy advocates, their successors couldn't have come to power in the first friggin' place. If just 1/10 of the effort put into overthrowing Castro, sabotaging the Ayatollah, over whom the U.S. had no influence whatsoever, had been put into curbing Batista or the Shah, You might not have had to wonder why they hate you now. I can knock at the phone. Hello? The FBI wants to see me to discuss my human rights? I didn't think they were up for discussion. Why, thanks for your concern. I'm really touched. Oh, I will be? It's nice to know there's somebody in Washington who still cares.